Armen Levack, 104.5 The Team, 1045theteam.com, joined by Jordan Raanan of NJ.com. Follow him on Twitter at Jordan Raanan. Jordan, first things first, how much will it hurt the Giants' defensive front not having Demontre Moore around?
It's not a huge loss because the reality is most weeks his use has been limited, 20 snaps a game or so. And that probably would have been the case this week, because that's the case when they go against running teams that are run-heavy. They don't trust him against the run. He was a strict pass rusher. His use was more against teams that spread it out and go back and throw it and pass. So this week, not huge, maybe down the line, a little more impactful.
I've always heard that he was, the strength of him was the locker room. His teammates loved him. How weird is it, this falling out over some beats by Dre with Cullen Jenkins?
Yeah, you could kind of see it coming. He seemed like he was always bitter, upset. They kind of picked on him a little bit. It seemed like Jenkins was sort of, you saw Jenkins get on him a couple times. You could see Demontre get upset. Jenkins was the only one. You could see the locker room kind of, they like to tease him a little bit. I think he took offense to some of these things that most guys are able to brush off. So, I don't think it's that big a surprise. He was close with some guys. It's not like, Jason Pierre-Paul's a guy who's not really close to a lot of guys. Demontre actually has a bunch of friends in that locker room, guys that he's pretty close with. So, it was more of a build-up of incidents with one specific player, so, I'm not that surprised because he's had his trouble before. I don't think the offensive line liked him very much. They didn't like the way he went about his business in training camp a lot of the time. And you could see that. And really, when he had a fight with Justin Pugh and then Eric Flowers later, it was really a collection of events that led up to that. So it eventually reached a boiling point, which is really what happened here. It just built up and then reached a boiling point with him. And, they put him on a zero-tolerance policy for fighting, and then he gets in a fight. So they had enough at that point.
Jordan Raanan of NJ.com. Follow him on Twitter at Jordan Raanan. Jordan, just quick guess. Do you think Demontre Moore's done, or will he latch on somewhere else?
He'll latch on somewhere else. He's a talented kid. He has a specific skill that's very useful in this league. Sure, he's a specialized player, but you can do a lot of good with a guy who can rush the passer. And, I know the numbers aren't huge at the 8.5 sacks in the almost 3 seasons, but this guy can rush the passer in the NFL, and he has a good motor. He could be a guy who I could see getting, 7, 8, 9 sacks as a limited player on the right team. And I think somebody will probably claim him off waivers today because if you look at his contract, you're talking about a guy who's working on his rookie contract. It costs $700,000 next year, nothing. It'll be a 1-year commitment for, next year. So it's definitely a risk that some team is going to take.
Jordan, do you expect Eric Flowers to play tonight, and if so, how much?
Yeah, well, if Eric Flowers plays, he's going to play. That's the plan. You would hope he would be able to last. I think, look, this isn't a normal game for Eric Flowers. He's going to Miami. This is his home. This is a big game for him. This is one he had circled on the calendar. If it's up to him, he's going to play. This is a tough SOB. This guy wanted to get on the field last time he strained his ankle right away. He wants to do it again now. I think it's more whether the Giants think that he's going to be able to play effectively, of whether he's going to get on the field or not. And the likelihood is that he's going to go through one of those warm-ups where the trainers watch over him before the game, and then it'll have to be a game-time decision. So we'll see on that. 50-50. I think if Flowers goes, they go back to pretty much a regular lineup. John Terry will be on at right guard, Justin Pugh at left guard. If Eric Flowers can play, I think you'll see John Jerry move over to left guard next to Justin Pugh. They've worked together, and Bobby Hart on the right side with at right guard and Marshall Dumas at right tackle.
Jordan Raanan of NJ.com joining Armen Levack, 1045 The Team, 1045theteam.com. Jordan, when you talk about this offensive line, do you join me in being scared to death that this is the game the Miami defensive front looks good in?
Yeah, the pass rush is what worries me more than anything on the edges. But the Giants have been able to work around that for most of the year. They're able to team around that. Quick pass, quick hitters. Eli getting the ball out of his hands very quickly. So it's not something we haven't seen before. They've been against good defensive fronts. We saw them do it against the Bills. They were fine. We thought they were going to get killed by the Bills and their pass rush. They were fine there. Even against the Jets last week, that wasn't the big problem for the Giants offense. It wasn't that Eli couldn't get the ball out and was getting sacked on every play. Even you know what? If you look at it, 2 of the sacks actually were Eli holding on to the ball a long time and he's not able to find the receiver. So, the line as pass protectors on the edges could be a problem, but I don't think that's something that the Giants can't overcome this week. And you know what? They need their tight ends and running backs to do a much better job. The line takes a lot of the blame, and the running backs too, just with their way they ran the ball. They ran the ball terribly last week when I was watching them. There was opportunities to make plays, and the running backs didn't make them. They need that help from the running backs. They need somebody to step up out of that group and play well, because really that's been the area where I think they've been the weakest the last couple of weeks. The running backs have not played well.
The offensive line's banged up. I know going into the season, a question mark was the secondary. Is this a game where guys like Jarvis Landry and Ryan Tannehill have a huge game against the Giants' defense?
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. The thing with Landry is, look, the Giants are good on the outside. With Prince and DRC, even though Prince played kind of poorly last game, especially for him. That's the strength of the defense. Landry plays in the slot, and that's a more troublesome spot for the Giants. DRC and Prince don't play in the slot. So I think you could see him do some damage. You're going to see the running backs do damage. That's really where teams do much of their damage against the Giants. It's either running backs, tight ends, in that slot, receiver spot. The Dolphins don't really have much at the tight end position, so I would expect a lot from Lamar Miller out of the backfield, who catches the ball well. And I would also expect a lot out of Landry playing out of the slot, because of the matchup there would be him against Trevin Wade probably most of the time. So that's not a matchup that really favors the Giants. Anytime their safeties have to get into coverage, that's you should better close your eyes and pray. So,
Jordan,
Landry having a big game, definite possibility.
Jordan Raanan of NJ.com. Follow him on Twitter at Jordan Raanan, 1045 The Team, 1045theteam.com. Now, Jordan, is there any concern that OBJ is going to try a little too hard to get that circus flair one-handed catch going up against his best friend in Jarvis Landry?
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. The last thing I'm worried about is Odell Beckham. The Giants guys are a massive monster. He's going for his sixth straight 100-yard receiving game. Every week he's 100 yards. So I wouldn't be concerned about Odell Beckham trying to do too much. He's been in big spots before, and all he's done is perform and do what he's supposed to do. All I would expect is another big game from Odell Beckham, because he's trying to show out on a Monday night game in front of a national audience and with his best friend on the other side of the ball. I don't think that really makes much of a difference in this game once they step on the field.
After the Eagles win, after the Redskins win, do you consider this a must-win for Tom Coughlin tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. They can't lose this game. And they lose this game, you pretty much they need a borderline miracle, because they're not in good shape with those tiebreakers. So they'd be in pretty bad shape and need a lot of help along the way in order to win the division if they lose this game. Now, if they win this game, they're in fine shape still. They're still, tied to the division lead. And, look, if the Giants win all 4 of their games, they're going to make the playoffs. I'll tell you that right now. So really, if you want to look at it that way, it's kind of in their own hands. Now, that's a big pass. They haven't done that at any point this season. So there's really nothing that would indicate that they can do that. At this point, even if they go 3-1, they're going to need some help. So if they don't win this game, you could pretty much say that the Giants are in need of a miracle to make the playoffs. So absolute must win. They can't miss the playoffs. They can't go, lose 4 straight, 5 straight. Tom Coughlin can't sustain that at this point. It would be too devastating and just another blight on the resume, which would be now the 4th straight year without the playoffs, really, if they lose this game.
So if they lose tonight, Coughlin out, how about GM Jerry Reese?
Yeah, I just don't see that happening. This isn't a team that does that very often in regards to firing their general manager. You have to go back, 40 years in order to find the last time that's happened with this organization. So, I mean, considering the guy has 2 Super Bowls in 9 years, I know you people can argue he inherited a lot of those players, blah, blah, blah. He was part of the crew that brought those players in. He's never had the opportunity to hire his own coach. And the fact that this organization has never fired general managers, and they're known to be a very patient organization, it's hard for me to see that being the case, that Terry Reese is going to be gone at this point. I feel like they're going to have enough confidence in him to say, okay, your job is to rebuild it. Go get your coach. And then if it doesn't work out then, 3 or 4 years down the line, then Jerry Reese is going to be the one to take the ball.
Jordan Raanan of NJ.com joining Armen and Levack, 104.5 The Team. Jordan, what was going on? What was Tom Coughlin doing? He was doing jumping jacks in a press conference?
Yeah, that was his reaction to when he found that, or when he was watching last Monday night. He saw the Redskins lose to the Cowboys, but I don't think he was doing jumping jacks yesterday when the Redskins and Eagles both won. He might have forced himself to do push-ups instead, which I wish we had video of, but we don't, unfortunately.
Fantastic stuff from Jordan Raanan. And Jordan's a great guy because, Levack, I know you don't know this, but one of my most embarrassing moments in my media career happened involving this guy, and I'm still so sorry. I apologized a bunch. Levack, what is my girlfriend's name?
Jordan.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. So, the other day...
Yeah, I got an inappropriate text for sure.
Did you sex Raanan?
Not as bad as that made it seem.
No. Luckily, it wasn't that bad. Luckily, I had just told Jordan Raanan that I was going to go back to the apartment and relieve myself in our bathroom.
Oh, no.
And Raanan goes, I'm good for the interview, but just too much information on that, man. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. I was so embarrassed. And I'm like... Oh, no. So Jordan was so cool about it. Jordan, has anything ever happened like that to you?
I was telling you, I told you I'd try and think of a story to make you feel better, but as I was thinking, I really can't think of anything when I told anyone about my bowel movements.
I mean,
I definitely contacted the wrong people at times and asked them about somebody that clients that they don't have anymore and stuff like that. But bowel movements, I didn't have a good bowel movement. Man, I'm sorry.
Thank you for coming on the show still, considering us still professionals.
Jordan, it's rare that we give you the scoop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there you go. Well, I'm not a prude. You don't have to worry about that. That's for sure. I can handle these kind of things. This is like regular life for me, everyday life.
Don't you listen? Trust me, Jordan. You want to shame him a little bit because he might start intentionally sending you bowel movement updates.
No, you know what? You might have to get blocked at that time.
He's NJ.com.
You're on notice. One more, and you definitely get blocked.
Yeah, and then you're literally on his poop list.
Yeah, I have a 2 bowel movement limit on my text messages.
He's Jordan Raanan of NJ.com. Follow him on Twitter to find out what's going on in Gaza's bathroom at Jordan Raanan. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to you and everybody, and thanks for keeping us updated.
You too, guys.